Sorry for that dissertation, that manifesto.
It's okay. I'm a big Foghat fan. It's okay.
Okay, let's talk. Patrick Mahomes struggled against the Jags. What did they do? Was it just they have better personnel?
Well,
what did the tape say?
I think we have to start with the premise of your question. Are we dealing with Patrick Mahomes as if he's a great player, or are we dealing with Patrick Mahomes as if he was in his 6th NFL start and he's a young player still learning how to play?
Yeah, the second one.
Okay, so let's understand a couple of things. He played against a defense that's very sound in what they do. There's not a lot of mystery to what the Jags do, but they're very sound in what they do. They don't normally beat themselves on defense.
Yeah.
We're also dealing with a quarterback who came into this league as essentially a sandlot and playground player who has mechanical issues that needed to be worked on that can crop up at any time, which did in this game. We're dealing with a quarterback in Mahomes who has a tendency to play outside of structure and leave the pocket. So all those things kind of came together, and it's not as if he had a poor game, but he just didn't have a great game. But I think that Mahomes leaving the pocket when it's not necessary is something to watch for as we continue, because that's the way he played in college.
Let's shift to Sam Darnold, who I've said before, I think he's the youngest of the quarterbacks. He only had 27 college starts. I think it's going to be a choppy year for him. They don't have a great O-line, running game, tight ends, or wide receivers, although I do like Robbie Anderson. What did the tape show, after not doing much against the Jags, what did the tape show against Denver on Sam Darnold?
Well, first of all, the second touchdown he threw to Anderson was about as beautiful a throw as you could make. He literally handed it to him from 40 yards away. But I would say here's Darnold at this point, and you would probably agree, Colin, because we've talked about Sam Darnold, and I know you like him a lot, but you're also not blind to what he is.
Right.
I think he's shown some very positive snapshots, but he's a little unsettled in the pocket. His feet are always moving. That may be him, or it may be something that needs to settle down. When he sees it right away, he can throw the ball really well, and I think overall that his ball placement must become more consistently precise.
Yeah.
That, to me, is where Sam Darnold is at this point after 5 games.
Yeah, Baker's more accurate. Sam's a little bigger athlete. He's got a lot of home run potential. He's a big kid, but I think Baker throws, Josh Rosen throws a very accurate football. I always felt with Sam Darnold, he can play a little fast.
Yep.
He's a little uneven, but I like 15 years. I like his personality, his body type, and his big play potential.
I just really struggle, and it may be him because he did it in college. For all I know, he could have done it in high school. You probably saw him play in high school.
Yep.
But he's a very unsettled guy with his feet, and it just may be him. But when I watch him on tape, because I'm a purist, as you know, with the position, there are times it's hey, calm down, Sam, calm down. You don't need to be so jumpy.
All right, the Eagles have yet to score 24 points in a game this season.
Yeah.
We know they've got the talent. They have had some injuries. They lost Frank Reich. They lost coaches. What does the tape say is wrong with Philadelphia's offense?
Well, 2 things. They don't have as much talent as people think on the perimeter. Their wide receivers are not high-level NFL wide receivers. Secondly, a strength a year ago has turned into an issue this year, and that's their offensive line and their pass protection. Individuals are getting beat one-on-one, and they're getting really hurt by stunts and pressures. So the O-line has been a major concern, and they're not running the ball with anywhere near the frequency they did a year ago, so they're becoming one-dimensional with an O-line that's struggling and with a receiving core that's not quite good enough to be a one-dimensional passing offense.
We generally blame quarterbacks. I think Carson Wentz, for what he's given, has done okay.
So do I. I think he's actually played well. I watch him very carefully every week. I think he's thrown the ball really well. He'll probably take a lot of heat for perhaps taking too many hits, but I don't know if that will ever change. I think that's his mentality. I think he stands there and he wants to deliver the football.
Okay, I want to shift to this. There's 2 or 3 teams in the NFL, Rams and the Bears, Sean McVay and Matt Nagy. When I watch their offense, it is so clever. It is so fun. It's so multiple. I love watching it, even though I think Trubisky's really, limited. When I watch Dallas's offense, it's not a lot of clever and it's not a lot of creative.
No.
Is that a coaching thing? Are they signaling to guys like me, Dak's limited? I just see Dallas as, vanilla's overused, pedestrian.
Yeah.
I just don't see a ton offensively that makes me go, wow, that's new.
I would agree with you, and we don't know the reason because we're not there, but here's what they do. In their pass game, they run a lot of individual isolation routes. In other words, they ask their wide receivers to win one-on-one versus corners. Those are individual isolation routes. When you have great receivers, you can do that. The Colts did a lot of that when they had Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne. What you don't see with the Cowboys are what I would call integrated route concepts, where they use things like stacks, bunches, levels, to do things that actually help their receivers against particular coverage concepts. And when you add that to the fact that Dak Prescott is not a true anticipatory thrower, very often it shuts down your passing game. Now, we don't know if it's because they don't think Dak's good enough. We don't know the answers to these questions. I can only tell you what the tape shows.
Yeah. Is it possible he missed Dez Bryant more?
Well, Dez, when he was in his prime, which was, 3-4 years ago? Again, yeah. Dak's been in the league. This is his third year. So his first year in the league, Dez was still a good player. But Dez he kind of evolved into being a possession-type player, yeah. And there's a lot of those guys. And I'm sure their feeling was, if he's problematic in the locker room as a possession receiver, since there's a lot of those guys, he's probably not worth the trouble. If he's a superstar, those talent always wins over temperament, but he no longer was a star.
Let's shift to Green Bay. Again, something's not right. I'm not in the room. Now, they don't have much of a running game and haven't for years. But again, let me go back to the creative. You have said on our show several times, Aaron Rodgers, sometimes to a fault, is creative. I don't see a lot of creative beyond Aaron Rodgers. Again, like Dallas, are they asking receivers to win one-on-one battles and just thinking, hey, Aaron, make it happen?
I have actually had a conversation about Aaron Rodgers with someone very smart and very aware this week, because I continue to watch Aaron Rodgers, and he's a frustrating and confusing player to watch, because Rodgers plays with far too much head movement. His helmet is rarely calm. There are many snaps that he plays as if he doesn't appear to know what he's looking at, but then he has plays when he's right on the money. So he's very confusing. He's a tough evaluation, but it also shows how talented he is, because it's really tough to survive in that world where you're not really playing with any sense of timing and rhythm and still be successful. But there's a lot of times where he's the issue, which is hard for people to understand because he's so talented.
Yes.
But just watch him play, Colin, and watch his head. It's very rarely calm, and quarterbacks have to play with the term is a calm helmet. You watch the great quarterbacks, Drew Brees, you watch Tom Brady, their head is not moving from side to side.
Listen, this is what I've been saying for years. People think I hate Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, listen, some of this stuff's on Aaron. It's not all on everybody else. You look at film. I just watch the games,
and that's all I'm going by as well. You know, I can tell you what the tape shows.
Hey, so let's go to Seattle. Finally, their offense had a life. And here's the thing. Everybody loves the Chiefs and the Rams, myself included. But neither of them plays great defense. Last couple of weeks, Rams haven't played any defense. So what did Seattle do? Did Seattle exploit an issue with the Rams? Their inconsistent pass rush, their kind of marginal linebacker play. Rams are giving up now a lot of points. Seattle exploited them. What did you see here?
Well, Seattle has really evolved into a totally different team with this new offensive coaching staff. They're a run-first team. Their two backs, Carson and Davis, combined for 31 rushes for 184 yards. And they are now an offense that is a run-game foundation offense, and that's where the Rams have struggled this year, defending the run. But Seattle's a run-game foundation offense with multiple run-game concepts, and Russell Wilson is now a complementary player who's playing with far more control and less freelance randomness, and that's the way they want to play. Yeah, and in the long term, that will help Russell Wilson.
Yeah, no, I watched Seattle. They went and got They went and got that Penny kid from San Diego State in the first round.
He's a third back.
Yeah, no, they have depth at running. They remind me a little bit of Cleveland. They got Duke Johnson, they got Nick Chubb, they got Carlos Hyde. Seattle's got three backs now, and the young guy Chubb and Penny are not getting a ton of snaps. But it does look like, to your point, Seattle said we're going to make a paradigm shift here, and they are. They took it right to the Rams.
Colin, we've talked about this, you and I, many times. It's so hard to play offense week to week in the NFL when you're relying on a quarterback, any quarterback, it just happens to be Russell Wilson here, to make out-of-structure, improvisational, random plays. It's just too hard. You can't live like that.
Yep. Let's go to Eli Manning. We're going to see him tonight. Odell Beckham comes out and says this. Barkley's been terrific. Saquon Barkley's been just terrific. They have a tight end I like. Odell's very talented. Nate placeholder made a lot of money. I'm not sure if he's worth it, but what are you seeing from Eli? What's the tape say?
Well, you said something about Barkley, if I could go there.
Sure.
I don't know if he's been terrific because he's a very interesting kind of runner. He's kind of a reactionary runner who runs away from opposing color rather than I would call a roadmap point of attack runner. He had 2 runs last week that gained 50 yards, a 20-yarder and a 30-yarder. His other 13 runs gained -2. And he needs to learn in the NFL to be a sustainer because if you talk to offensive linemen, they'll tell you that a 3-yard run matters.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that.
Yeah,
he's looking to run away from opposing color, and he's a spectacular guy, so he'll do that, and he'll have great runs. There's no question about that, but they're going to need him to be a sustainer.
By the way, this is what he was at Penn State.
He was exactly that at Penn State.
Yep, he would do nothing, but he'd have 2 big home runs, and you end up and he's got 124 yards, and 109 are on 2 runs. So I always said he had a little Reggie Bush in him.
He's got a little Barry Sanders in him.
Yeah, I got a fireworks show, but I need 4 yards most of the game, and for 2.5 hours I don't get it. So, all right, let's go. Oh boy.
Now, here you go. I did this just for you, Colin.
Did. You and Joel Klatt. I've become my arch nemesis. No.
We're just truth tellers. That's all we are. We're just truth tellers. We're educating you, Colin.
Okay, so the play of the week involves Baker Mayfield. Let's go, baby.
And then what I like to do is run the play, and hopefully we can have a little Foghat slow ride behind this. Okay, so here's the touchdown pass to Rashad Higgins.
Okay.
But this was beautiful design, but great execution. They go with a tight bunch to the right side of the formation, to the boundary side of the formation. The whole point of this tight bunch was to isolate Rashad Higgins on that corner, Marlon Humphrey. That's what they wanted to do. That's why they did this. So as the routes develop, the 2 other receivers working inside, Jarvis Landry and David Njoku, this is man-to-man coverage, so they're going to stay inside versus Tavon Young and Tony Jefferson to keep those defenders inside, so you get the one-on-one with Higgins versus Humphrey on the outside. It's an isolation. They're setting up this isolation. It's a great route by Higgins, and he wins. But there's another part of this play, and this is NFL quarterbacking. This will be an ET stunt, meaning the end goes first. Okay, Matt Judon goes first, and then Smith, the tackle, goes second. So the end is the picker. The tackle is the looper. Now stop it right here. You see, this is pressure right in Baker Mayfield's face. He can see it, but you got to stand and deliver. This is NFL quarterbacking, Colin. That's the way to play the position, not to run out of there, but to deliver the throw. And Mayfield is very twitchy. He's very quick with his feet and with his arm.
Look at that. Let's hear it for Baker Mayfield.
There you go. He's the greatest quarterback ever. I think you should get his Hall of Fame jacket ready.
Good stuff today. Good talking to you, Greg Cosell.
All right, Colin. Appreciate it. Thanks.
How about that?
Oh, could you imagine a world where Baker became a Hall of Famer?
Baker's going to play in the league for a long time if he did none of this nonsense grabbing your stuff.
Are they going to have your undraftable quote?
I hope they do.
On shirts at sale that weekend.
That'd be funny. No, but listen, I've watched every one of his snaps. He's fun as heck to watch. All right, coming up around the corner, we got a lot of stuff here. Chris Broussard joins us from New York. His thoughts on LeBronzo last night. And by the way, another Cowboy is talking, and it looks like he's talking about Dak Prescott, and we'll address that coming up. Guys, close your eyes. Imagine you're just standing there at that cocktail party in your underwear. Would you be proud of it? Of course you would not.